Hello and welcome back to All of Fabric 6. Whew, you guys caught me at a bit of an awkward time here. So I just processed a bit of that ostrum that we got in the last episode to craft up this T3 rocket, and we are on our way to Mercury, I think Mercury is the next planet that we need to visit. Anyway, I also put another one of those Astra enchants on our gear, this time using that stone we got from Mars, and this should change the gravity to like Earth standards. So it'll make getting around this next planet a little bit easier. There are still 2 more enchants that'll make space more hospitable, but we'll need to visit Mercury and Venus first for those ingredients. Anyway, here we are. Take us to... Oh, we can go to Venus straight away. Let's go to Mercury first, though. Yes, please. Oh, that is a fiery planet. Remember to hold on to spacebar so you descend a bit slowly. Now, under normal circumstances, we would burn up in this place. I think we're okay. So just before launch, I crafted up all these things to unlock the spaceship. We're not really going to use them anyway. Pretty easy, you didn't miss much. But we did get this netherite spacesuit, which, like, it seems would normally be necessary to survive so close to the sun. But since we've got our backpack here, gives us fire resistance. You'll see there it's basically permanently on. Like, that's an alternative. So it says you can also avoid the heat damage by drinking a fire resist potion. Well, we've got one of those permanently set up. Okay, goal reached. And we also came here on this fancy new fuel type, cryofuel, which you get by putting those ice shards that we've been collecting up, I think on the moon. You just chuck them through the cryo freezer. But anyway, let's take a look around this place. So that's all we need basically to make the fireproof enchant. Just a little bit of this stone. Figure we could just explore one of these caverns while Chunky's doing its thing. Mercury iron ore. Let's not make the same mistake as last time. What's the book tell us? Now that you can fly to Venus and Mercury, your new goal is to gather enough calorite to build the ultimate rocket. The jet suit is an upgraded version of the netherite spacesuit, which gives fun flight but needs calorite. Okay, basically just get calorite. Doesn't want to tell us what level this stuff generates at. That sucks. Ooh, but we're still pretty high up. Just passing Y0 now. Whoa. What a gorgeous cave. Plenty of black stone and basalt, but I'm not seeing any ore. Alright, let's jump back to the surface. See what we can see. So far, this is my favorite planet. This is just gorgeous. And the only inhabitants seem to be these magma slimes. What do we see underground? Nothing showing up. Nothing really showing up there. Can we spot any structures on the map? No, I don't think. Oh, one other thing I've done different this time around. Eventually we're going to run out of oxygen from these tanks. So I've also chucked in a potato battery, because there was some mention on the space breathing enchant here that it can use energy or durability. I'm hoping that means that we can just keep our space breathing enchant powered up with a battery here, and that battery will automatically charge in our inventory. So hopefully that takes care of our space breathing issues. Should also probably say what we're going to be doing this episode. Yeah, last time we got those titanium drills up online at our modern industrialization factory, and you'll recall all my ramblings about running out of power. Well, I think today, once we get back home, we'll use some of that shiny pink titanium stuff that we've been storing up, and I'll set up some HB steam generators and hopefully take care of our power issues for a while. And then who knows, I got 1 or 2 things that I got planned, but it really all depends on how much time we have. Here's a quick chance to check while the terrain's generating in, whether or not there's anything hiding underground. Not that I can see. Yeah, I think we might be in much the same position that we were on Mars, and that this is, while a beautiful planet, in fact it's pretty freaking stunning, especially with the shaders on. I don't think there's any life out here. But I'll let Chunky do its thing, I'll come back, I'll explore all the terrain that it opened up. And if we can't see anything, I might just jump straight back in the rocket and head on up to Venus. You know what I just realized? I don't think Chunky's scanning Mercury, I think Chunky's scanning the overworld. Right? Chunky... cancel. I think it's just generating chunks in the overworld, because it says up here Minecraft overworld. And I probably made that same mistake last episode, didn't I? Alright, sadly no luck. I did open up quite a significant amount of the map, and I've sat here for a few minutes just scouring it, and I can't see anything that looks like a structure. I also got a few good glimpses underground and couldn't see anything down there either. So I think this is just a beautiful planet, inhabited by gravity-defying squishy magma cubes. So let's head back home and immediately try again. And we'll go to Venus this time and hopefully have more luck finding calorite there. I don't know why our rocket launch has no sound, but I must have muted it or something. Hell away from home. Alright, come in safely. Oh, there's some hostiles. That's good. And already we see a structure over there. Chunky world. This is it. I can't believe I did this. At Astra, Venus. So that's what we're set in. World change to Ad Astra Venus. And then chunky start. Oh, finally. Okay, so that's now exploring this dimension. Let's quickly throw down a waystone and try our luck here. What are these things called? You're a what? A mogler. And you've dropped rotten flesh. And leather. Leather and rotten flesh. And what's this ancient debris looking stuff? Infernal spire block. But we do want to get some Venus stone. And yeah, primarily calorite. Look at him go. Alright, now I just feel cruel. Calorite ore comes in at Y -2. There it is, calorite ore. Perfect. I don't know how much of this stuff I need, but it probably wouldn't hurt to get ourselves a whole bunch of it. Oh, it doesn't look good. We're almost out of oxygen here, and we can probably just check now if the potato will work. Nope. As soon as I got rid of it, we start taking damage. Okay, we need that oxygen. Should probably take our rocket, shouldn't I? Yep, definitely. Okay, so I've topped up our oxygen cans here, and I also thought now might be a good time to play around this thing called the Rod of the Plentiful Mantle, which says for a moderate mana cost has the power to divine in a modest radius around its user for ores, which is cool. So let's craft that up. Oh, here we go. This is great. What do we do here? We go... Is that highlighting all the ore? I think that's what it's doing. It's telling us there's a whole bunch down here, hey? No, that was the wrong type. Just here? No, that's gold. It's pretty easy to see everything now in this open cavern. So what color does it give us? This is like a darkish pink. Oh, darkish pink. And then it fades pretty quickly. Who's this guy? You're probably going to be angry. Zombified pyro. And if I attack it, it's probably going to get angry at us, right? I think it just dropped a gold sword. That's all I saw. Sorry about that, little buddy. Yeah, I suspect this thing's super handy in certain situations, but we found ourselves a giant cavern. We're not so necessary now, though. It's not too hard just to look around and see the ore, what with night vision and an open cavern. Okay, 146 is probably enough. Let's... what do we do? Let's head back to the surface. Oh. It's out of charge. Alright, let's head back to the surface the old-fashioned way. We'll check out what this structure is right above us here. Oh! Because this here is obviously like the highlight of Venus, right? I'd say so. It's pretty clear that as soon as I open this, I'm going to piss off all the locals. And it wasn't even worth it. Okay, we've got an empty soul crystal. I don't want to do this. Bring back their swords. They probably shouldn't have come at me like that, though. Maybe these guys have decent trades. Let's see. Hey. They seem to just have the same trades as the regular piggies in the nether. Yeah, soul speed, alright. Don't care for that. What's behind door number 2? Ooh. Lodestone. Ancient debris, I definitely don't need, but I'll take. What else are these guys hiding down here? I don't really want to get in a fight. Look, if these guys just took a chill pill, they'd probably quickly realize that I don't even care for their treasure. Yeah, they got nothing. Maybe for them it's the principle of the thing. Yeah, I think it's fair to say these guys don't have anything that we're interested in. And it seems to be, at least on the surface, it seems to be just these kind of repeating structures here. But let's do what we do and fly around and see if anything else pops into view. And if there's nothing, I guess we can just head back home, get to work on our factory a little bit. I'm guessing that hoglin probably wasn't meant to spawn in up here. Will this thing take us back home? Nah, seems to struggle across dimensions. Well, piggies, you can keep your fiery planet, because we've got a factory to build. So, it is HB power time. The observant of you out there might have noticed that it wasn't really steam that was our problem in the last episode. As you can see now, we're going fine. It was water. We just weren't making enough with these old steel water pumps to feed all these advanced steam boilers. So I threw down a kitchen sink. I know it's a little bit cheaty if we're doing a pure MI run, but it's just temporary because we're going to tear out all this today and replace it with HP advanced steam boilers. So what we have here are advanced large steam boilers. They're currently giving us 1024 EU a tick worth of steam. But if we replace them instead with not these ones, in fact, I think we're just going to skip high pressure large steam boilers altogether and head straight to the advanced ones. These ones each produce 8,092 a tick. I mean, I'm pretty nervous about this, to be honest, but I've been doing a little bit of digging in the MI Discord, and it seems like you can sustain 2 of these with a single heat exchanger, this thing. So 2 of those boilers, 1 of these heat exchangers, and 1 of these pressurizers to turn water into HP water should be enough to get the job done. Now, there's a handy little graph that's circulating around Discord, and I'll chuck it up on the screen now, and huge thanks to whoever designed this. We're just going to follow it as a guide, and it basically tells you the process of how to turn water into steam. So we're going to be doing this by, first of all, pumping just regular water into a pressurizer to turn water into HP water. Take note of that, it's 125 millibuckets. We send that 125 millibuckets into a high pressure advanced large steam boiler. We can actually show it in REI, but that'll give us 2000 HP steam. And then we cycle that 2000 HP steam into a heat exchanger with a bit more water, and water's free, so we don't really care about that. And that'll give us 16,000 millibuckets of steam as an output, but also 125 millibuckets of high pressure water back. So we need to take these 125 millibuckets here and cycle that back into the HP advanced large steam boilers and cut off the pressurizer from making any more. Apparently if that HP water fills up in the pipes, it's no good. Things will come to a halt. So I'm just going to do a little bit of manual interference to get it kickstarted. Hope that makes sense. So there's our pressurizer. One back. And for the multi-block, we also need 10 of those. Right, so that's our ingredients for the pressurizer. And they're the blocks we need for 2 of the high pressures. And finally, a heat exchanger. I just want to get all this stuff ready before we tear out any power. First up is the pressurizer. Let's get that in the corner here. Wrench in the offhand so we can see the block placement, and okay, shape valid. Let's give it a output there and an input on this side. An input, oh, you're not happy with that. Output has to be on the bottom, input on the top. Interesting. Okay, that's now valid. Very temporarily, I'll replace this pretty soon, but just to get us started. There we go. And presumably you got to power this thing too. We'll just give it an MV energy input hatch. Right, and it insists on the bottom. Get it the power that it needs. And that should be already, oh, we set this right. That should be giving us high pressure water. You working? Yep, it's working. Okay, there's our 125 millibuckets. 3, 4, 5. Same size as this, and they should also be able to share walls. Much sleeker. Then we're going to put that into a heat exchanger, which for some reason has this funny shape. What's that? 5 deep and 3 high. That's very odd. We'll have to do that sideways. Which means we can't really delay it any longer. We got to get rid of this stuff. So that would have killed everything. There's no more steam being produced. We better hurry up and get this thing online. Might just put it like this. Wish you could change the direction of it. Like you can, but only on the horizontal. If I could change the direction on the vertical, that would be nice. So it needs regular water in and a HP steam. I won't let that through just yet, but that's where it's going to come from. That's going to let out HP water and then steam. So this here is our steam pipe. And your high pressure water, which we need to then put on a, and we'll just get light blue for that. Heading back into these fluid pipes. All right, very nervous about this. I got no idea if it's going to work. We got the high pressure coming out. Make sure I set all these right. Regular water going in, and then high pressure steam going in. Yeah, this thing takes power. Should have figured. Okay, so I think I've got this set up pretty well, except we don't have any more steam in the system now to kickstart the whole thing. What will happen is I got a steel tank here and a steel tank down there, which I'll fill up with steam from the pipe network. And then if we ever have a blackout, to get the whole thing kickstarted again, I can just let the steam back in to kickstart the pressurizer, if we need more HP water, that is. And similarly over here, I can store a little bit of steam to get this one kickstarted. So you probably noticed that my voice was really going by the end of that last clip. It only got worse, so I've cut out a whole bunch of recording. You didn't miss much, but just to summarize, I set up the processing line. Let's go upstairs first. I set up a processing line for iridium. We get this iridium ore stuff from our titanium drills. It's a really simple production line. You just macerate it into raw, macerate that into dust. That's it. Similarly with tungsten over here. Tungsten we get from our, I think, stainless steel drill. Yeah, tungsten from stainless steel drill. Macerate, furnace. Easy. And we did that because we wanted to combine that tungsten with titanium and stainless steel ingots to get mixed blast-proof ingots. And that we're pushing right into a compressor to get blast-proof alloy plates. And that ticked off a bunch of quests for us. So you can see now we're right here. We did the iridium, we got blast-proof alloy plates. Oh, I also set up quests for these things for the highly advanced upgrades. So we're producing those now. As you can see, we already got 4 of them. Each one of those increases machines overclocking by 128 EU a tick. Let's head back downstairs. All right, and then I spent quite a bit of quality time with the base, looking for and trying to fix up bottlenecks by overclocking the machines with those upgrades. At some point, that meant swapping out like the MV steam turbines with HV ones, but that's only down here with our multi-block machines, which do like to run pretty hot. Like this one here, for instance, what's it doing? Well, it's currently doing about 290 EU a tick, and the MV ones, they max out at 128. Oh, why are you stalling? Oh, we'll get to that in a second. They max out at 128 EU a tick, but these ones go to 512 a tick. So you are not getting enough power because you're not upgraded yet. So upgrading them is just a matter of swapping this out, giving it a better input hatch, one of them. The power it needs, what are you? A packer. All right, we can also upgrade the packer and give that a higher tier cable as well. Yep. So as you can see from the red HV turbines, I've done that for this whole row and for quite a few in this area as well. I don't like them facing the side. They should face me so I can see when they're turned on. There we go. And just a reminder of how we're doing this. So we've got the steam coming in from a universal steam system, and that feeds our turbines, and then we're powering things locally. This way we've got like a universal power language in steam, and we can just upgrade the tiers of things at individual stations. And that's also the case up here. So I haven't done any yet, but we could easily just gut out these MV turbines, replace them with HVs, replace all these cables, and replace these machine hulls with turbos, which is super easy. You just right-click it. And that'll allow all these machines to overclock to even higher speeds. But so far I'm just kind of doing that at strategic locations where production's stalling. But eventually I'll just do it to the whole thing, probably all in one go. That's pretty easy. I'm not too worried about that. We've been through that process before when we converted all this from LV to MV. So it's just a matter of doing the same again. Shouldn't be too hard. And things are sped up pretty well now. Like there's our aluminium overclocked to a full 512 EU a tick. So it's eating up all the power that the HV steam turbine there can produce. Same deal with silicon, steel. Steel stalled a little bit. And the other thing we were really struggling with was argon, but I think I've got that solved now. Oh my God. But I think we've got that solved now. Yep, as you can see, this thing's max overclocked. So it's now going 9 times its regular speed. And as it's kind of dependent on our production of liquid air, there was a funny kind of imbalance or a funny kind of balancing act that occurred between these two machines. Like if the centrifuge producing the argon was going too fast, let's get up there again. Like if this thing was going too fast, eating up the liquid air before the vacuum freezer could produce more, it would stall and that counter would go back to 0. And this thing takes quite a while. How do we see? Yeah, its normal craft is a 30-second craft, so it takes a long time to spin up again. Alternatively, if it was going too slow, the liquid air being produced would back up too much. And this thing, the vacuum freezer that's producing the liquid air, it would stall and it would go back to 0. And so you have to kind of balance them both. So as you can see, this one's about 9.2, 9.3 times its regular speed. And the centrifuge is 9 times its regular speed. There's a bit of a balancing act going on there now, and it seems to be at a nice equilibrium. Just something to keep an eye out on. Okay, but the real test, what we're here for, is how is our heat exchanger going? As you can see, we've got a couple of HVs on top there, keeping the thing powered. And it's currently overclocked to 300 times its regular speed. Doing a bit of dancing as it's not able to output all the steam in its output hatch quick enough. That's currently producing 8 point something. That also bounces around about 8. Let's just say that goes about 8k millibuckets of steam a tick. It's probably worth mentioning in the interest of full disclosure that we did have a blackout and everything died. I had a bit of a panic and I didn't know what to do. The trick was to make sure that we feed the steam that goes back into powering the heat exchanger first. So these are on maximum priorities, as is the buffer tank there. They're on maximum priority, so this guy's going to feed itself before it shares any juice with the rest of the factory. That way I don't think we'll have any more blackouts. And it's been a while since that happened, and yeah, no more hiccups since then, so I think we're good. Touch wood. But the issue now is still that demand is just not keeping up with supply. So the steam there is backing up in the output hatch. That's why it's kind of doing that funny dance there, where 300 overclocks the max it can get to. Because I'm pretty sure that these things can each produce the equivalent of 16,000 millibuckets of steam a tick. Oh, I take that back. Each can produce 8,000 worth of steam a tick. So we're currently consuming about half the capacity that they can produce. So it really is just a matter of making things go faster. 17 of them. 16 and one of these. And that is our implosion compressor. And I'm not going to do it now, but just to give you a look at this, you use this thing to finally get diamonds with some just industrial TNT and emeralds and iridium plates and probably a bunch of other stuff too. Enchanted golden apples, singularities. But I just wanted to get one in my hand, so next time we're down here, we can look at getting that thing set up and working our way to perhaps towards nuclear power or whatever else comes next. That's probably enough MI for this episode. I did want to get just one other thing done. Okay, I know I kind of implied that we were done with mana. In fact, we've got 350 million of it there. Let's see, let's eat that up. Oh, did you see that? That is getting real close. Cube.js and okay, if I'm reading this correctly, I think that's telling us we've got 1 billion. I think we have to double that to get SS tier, I think. Anyway, this current setup is fast enough, I think, to get us there eventually. So we could just be patient. But I figured this also might be one of those two birds type situations where we can both speed up our mana production while also adding a little bit more functionality to the kitchen, which we can head to now. Yeah, so let's automate cake. And I've already put down these two new workstations here. One to press things and the other to spout liquid at it. So there's quite a few ways to make cake, probably more than I realized. The easiest would probably be just having this recipe here, all that's already automated, and using soy milk instead. But soy is heavily in demand already, and that kind of sounds a little bit boring. And I wanted to add more functionality to the kitchen anyway, so that other agricultural recipes can be added at a later date. So I think instead what we'll do is we'll look at working on this recipe, which seems to only take liquid form of milk, not bottles, and a cake base, which you smush with sugar, eggs, and wheat dough. So I've got a smushing station here already set up, and then a liquid squirty station, and that'll get its liquid from a tank here. Like the interface will output liquid to the tank, it'll pump it through the pipes, the item will come through the barrel, and I'm hoping we can deliver milk that way. I'm not certain, but like the cake could always just go right past and not wait for this. I've never used one of these before, so we'll have to play around with it first to see if it even works. But that raises the question of how we're going to secure milk. There is a cow in a jar, which I was a bit confused. It looks like it has no recipe, but it does have a process of making it, which you guys have probably seen before. You just craft up one of these jars, put it on the floor, put a cow on top, and drop an anvil on its head, and that's how you squish the cow in the jar. And you can just attach pipes to that to get infinite milk, but that sounds a little boring, if I'm honest. How long have you guys been here for? That sounds a little bit boring, if I'm honest, when we have alternatives. Cow head, this thing. There's this thing in Spectrum called a peaceful idle when triggered via use or stepping on or projectile hit. So I think it's like a pressure plate. It milks close by creatures in a 6-block radius, but requires buckets or bowls to be close to the animal. Like this, give that a whack. So we have some buckets around the place. You step on it. Oh, maybe this only works with actual cows. Let's see. Yeah, only works with cows. We want to get this set up so that it drops buckets directly on top of it. The pattern provider, which we can put right above this. Like that, I think. Then we say, hey, give us a bucket of milk. We should see one drop. What am I doing? I can't believe that. I need to put it there. Obviously, that won't work. I need to output it somehow. So what will happen is we've got the milk bucket recipe in there. One empty bucket, give you one milk bucket back. Open crate will drop it on top of the idle. And then the filter here on the Spectrum black hole chest is set to just pick up the milk buckets. Let's see how we go. Give us one bucket of milk. Yeah, you were in a 6-block radius. Let's try that again. It looks for a cow. We got another quest. It looks for a cow, it milks a bucket, it goes in, and we get it back. All right, everyone, so this bit's actually recorded out of order. I'd finished the episode, ready to give up, but I thought I'd come back and actually do this thing properly. So there was about 45 minutes to an hour of me trying to get this thing working with different kinds of tanks, thinking that I could put this in here and it would give us a bucket of milk, the liquid stuff, and that the pattern provider could push the items into the barrel and the liquid into the tank. But apparently the pattern provider can only push in a single direction. So I asked some of the kind folks over on the AOF Discord, and someone there came up with a genius solution. They were even kind enough to upload it to their YouTube page, which I'll link in the description. So this is pretty much just me copying off their design. So if you're doing it at home, just stick with this recipe. 3 things of milk. You can use these things called milk bottles. Let's wait for them. This one from Croptopia. Each milk bucket gives you 16 milk bottles. That's a pretty good trade. And you get your bucket back. It's probably the best deal in town for a cake. But I really want to use this spout system because there's going to be other liquids that we come across. There's going to be chocolate and honey and jam and whatever else. I don't think jam's an actual liquid, but you know what I mean. I want this station to be set up to use this spout for any kind of liquid that we wish to give it. So it's not like we can just set a tank up permanently, fill it with milk, and then feed the spout, because then this will be a milk-only station. So I don't want to use this Tech Reborn pipe anymore. So the pattern provider gets channels off there. We want to put an interface there. We want to make sure that it outputs to that interface and not to the barrel. So I'm pretty sure you can just do that by clicking it with a wrench. I think what that means, because it can only push in one direction, I think it's going to push the items up, which is what we want. Let's chuck our tank down here maybe. Yeah, it's a good spot for it. And then use a couple of storage buses on these two. We need to make sure that doesn't connect. Yeah, that also works. So this little sub-network here of the two storage buses and the interface is just getting its power off the main line, but it's not connected to the main line. Okay, and then we want the baked cake to come out of this one, and we want the milk and later the other liquids to come out of there. And currently we've just got our milk sitting here in the system, but I think a neater way to do it might be, so we just got a TR tank here set up with an interface on the back, and I think the interface will always request buckets of milk. And this thing's set up to auto import from the back, which is where it's going to import the buckets from, and also auto output in the back to deliver the buckets back. But we want the storage bus. We want a storage bus sitting on top. And then the fluids. So if blue means import, orange means output. I'm guessing green means both. We don't want to automatically push and pull. There are fluids, and we can give this a facade to cover that up. There we go. So if we give this interface here a crafting card, so it's requesting the system to craft a bucket of milk, which is happening over there with our cows. And that'll come in here, get delivered to our basic tank unit, which will just keep on filling up. And once it's full, it'll hold a bucket there in reserve. Okay, so we've got milk now in the system. Now we don't want to use this basic cake recipe using the milk bottles. We want to use liquid milk and baked cake base to live in here. Let those liquids out. What? What? Did I miss it? Oh, I think it's auto crafting cake. Now let's craft up 10 cakes, see if that works. I think I already had a request for cake in the system, which is why this thing kicked in. I'm not sure, like it's got 0 fluids in there. I'm not sure what happens once we get those other liquids online. I'm sure it's fine. Our cake bases are being made. They're being cooked over there. It's about to come through. And there it is. Ah, so glad we got that done. We can probably cover that up too so we don't have to look at it. What a view. I love it. And as you can see, a whole bunch of these quests are also now complete. Getting close up there. Oh, that's just 50 away. Yeah, this place is working like a charm. This is incredible. And the reason we wanted that cake is... Let's get our Botania book out here. I think they're called Kikimoris or something. Cake is delicious. Everyone loves it. Flowers included. The Kikimoris is one of these cake aficionados and will eat any place in its vicinity. All right, let's add this recipe. Using petals. We haven't got pixie dust automated. A wheat seed and a stick. Let's see how fast one is. Add you to the filter. There it is. That's a Kikimura. This thing wants to eat cake, as we all do. It's bound. Okay. I think it's going to need its own mana spreader. I'll save me a bite. What I'm thinking is, let's put down a few more of these. Wool. We should also silence these things. If we fed these things cake, we've got some cables down here already. Like what, there and here. We put some formation planes right on top of them and have these spitting out cake. Okay. We got the cakes. What is this? Working with the formation planes is always a bit tricky. We want to keep this separate. So an export bus on there, trying to push out whatever cake it can. But they're all offline because they're not getting any power. So you route power in from the bottom there like that. Not an export bus, an import bus. Importing cake. No. I'm certain that formation planes can place cake. Maybe they just can't place it on top of themselves. Could be. There we go. Okay, they have to place it on this. They have to place it on the side, it seems. In that case, we'll get it going like this. And this guy needs a crafting card. All right? Right. Yeah, it's working. Let's just cover that up like it wasn't even there. This thing apparently produces a lot of mana, so I'm pretty hopeful about this. Alright, that's about all the time we got today, I reckon. Next time we'll test out this implosion compression thing, see what it can do. Probably get our jet suit and finish off that Astra quest line. And yeah, if there's time, always plenty of things to do. Alright, hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks so much for watching. Catch you in the next one. Bye for now.